Welcome everyone to our City Council meeting for Monday, February 23rd. Call to order, and can we have a roll call please to establish a quorum?
Bob Thomas?
Here.
Terry McClung?
Here.
Joyce Eller?
Here.
David Mitchell?
Here.
Mickey Schneider?
Here.
James DeVito?
Here.
We have 6.
All right. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Vicki?
Do we need to say anything on the yardways, cancel it for now, or what?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Okay. I move that we remove the...
Postpone it.
Postpone the yardways thingy. Thank you.
Number 1 under unfinished.
Yeah.
Okay. Second.
Anything else?
Do you have anything on the new hospital, or you want to postpone it unless you have anything
Well,
to tell us?
I'll give you an update.
Okay, that's
more
fine
than
then.
anything else.
Okay.
And same thing on the parking lot, just a quick
Okay.
update on both of those.
Just checking.
All right, all those in favor, signify of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so moved. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes and have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any changes? If not, all those in favor of the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. I think we have, do y'all have Virgil Fowler's application in for the HDC? All right, we're going to be nominating Virgil at the next meeting. So, just want to make sure on that. And June Westphal has reapplied for the cemetery.
Motion to approve June.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Any opposed? I can't imagine. All right. Got some going after the public comment sheet.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I had another one in here too, but I guess Kenneth
no.
Fugate, has he already been approved?
We approved him last week.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I believe you were absent.
Yeah, I was. That's correct.
Mr. Fugate was approved.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Cameron
Swayze?
Just call for mayor.
Denauer.
I believe so.
I'm sorry, Cameron.
Oh,
If you would,
Denauer.
that was close.
My name is Cameron Denauer. I'm a citizen here in Eureka Springs. I moved here in October of 2014. I'm here to speak about the non-discrimination ordinance that the City Council passed 2 weeks ago. And I guess the best way for me to do that is to tell you a real quick story. A year and a half ago, I was looking to make a change in my life as I grew older. I wanted something more peaceful, more relaxed, just something a little bit more my pace as I approached the second half of my life. And I did a search of many cities across America, reading Census Bureau information, Chamber of Commerce information, and was getting a little fed up. And so I did a search on Google, and what I put in was friendly, safe, diverse, small town America. What was the number one city that came up? Eureka Springs. I thank you all for what you did 2 weeks ago. I didn't come to Eureka Springs to live in fear. I didn't come here to live in doubt. And since this has happened, we have a group of individuals with separate belief systems, which they are entitled to have, who want to do the opposite now. And the only thing I can really say to that is any belief system that actively judges a person for their ability to love is not rooted in love, but is rooted in hate. Any belief system that actively seeks to discriminate is not based on acceptance, but on bigotry. Any belief system that actively seeks to create fear in a person is not based on community, but is ignorance. So I stand behind you with your decision 2 weeks ago, and so do many of my friends and fellow business people. So next time you do a Google search for Eureka Springs, do you want it to say friendly, diverse, and safe? Or do you want it to say hate, bigotry, and ignorance? Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Cameron. Jim Morris?
He hates public speaking. We put a bumper on it. It helped. Such a problem.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Morris. I live on Wall Street in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I will say this, please don't start my time till I say this. I want to disqualify myself as somebody from the city. I do serve as the chairman of the Planning Commission and have been on the Planning Commission for about 7 years. I do not speak on their behalf. I do not represent the Planning Commission tonight in what I have to say. I represent myself as a citizen of Eureka Springs. First of all, I want to commend you for caring about the city and taking action, whatever it is. I don't agree with the action you took on Ordinance 2223 for a few reasons. I don't see the bigotry, I don't feel it, I don't practice it, I don't like it if it exists here. I do not see it. But I've worked with a lot of you personally, and I think you know me. I'm straightforward with what I have to say. I don't beat around the bush about anything. I thank all of you for your service, and I enjoy being of service to the city. Ordinance 2223 is not in the interest and well-being of the city of Eureka Springs. It draws another line in the sand that once again is causing friction and ill will and continues to divide our city. It does not foster unity. It does not stop any discrimination. It only causes it to become entrenched and covert. Equality can only come from a four-letter word called love. It has never and never will be achieved from a four-letter word called laws. Is there a discriminatory practice currently in operation that existing laws cannot deal with? If so, bring them forward and stem the seemingly sub rosa undercurrent that we feel in this city. First, let me address the issue of an impending emergency. What would move our elected officials to declare such a state of emergency that does not exist? The fact that the Arkansas State Legislature may pass any law regarding equal rights or any other civil liberty does not constitute an emergency in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Sufficient statutes and federal laws have established due process that can handle most anything of a discriminatorial nature per se. The emergency clause is a tool intended to provide emergency action of a body when an emergency actually exists or is imminent. Such things would be a broken sewer, water main, City Hall getting hit by lightning. We know what that was like. A dam failure or a national disaster or anything of such nature. It is not when any, or some elected officials decide to use their elected office as a bully pulpit for any political, social, or financial agenda, perceived or real. There are many vague issues within the body of the ordinance and some major pitfalls. My limited time does not permit me to address those issues at this time. Am I being discriminated because of that? I'm only joking. More imminent needs of our city is the antiquated sewer and water mains, lack of same service to some areas, streets in need of a chip and seal, and potholes almost large enough to swallow a VW hippie van. Another concern is a city council chamber hall where citizens can meet with the council on an eye-to-eye basis in real time and not as a second-class citizen waiting in the hallway of a jury room.
Right.
I got about just a disclaimer here and one more sentence. We can do it. We have a modern police station, modern fire station, and a $10 million high school. Let's have a city hall to meet in. My disclaimer is this. As of yet, I am not a member of any group or committee. I have not attended any meetings and have not rendered any support financially or in any other means to this issue. This is a disclaimer. I'll claim my emergency rights to finish my disclaimer, just so it can't be associated. It's very short. I have been approached by many, many citizens about this, and have been informed there is such a group that has already been organized, secured legal counsel, and is planning legal action. Please revisit this ordinance, rescind it, and save our city unneeded financial cost and embarrassment. Change the heart, change the mind. What a concept. Thank you allowing for me to speak, and thank you again for serving our city.
Trace Allen?
Okay. Trace Allen Kelly, 190 North Main. I want to urge you to support the ordinance that prohibits the traveling exotic animal circuses. We as a city can make a difference for circus animals and maybe even set a precedent for other towns or cities to follow in our footsteps here in Arkansas. I want to read 2 quotes that pretty much sums up why this wild animal ban ordinance needs to be passed. The first one's from Betty Singer. When children see animals in circuses, they learn that animals exist for our amusement. They are quite apart from the cruelty involved in training and confining these animals. The whole idea that we should enjoy the humiliating spectacle of an elephant or lion made to perform a circus trick shows a lack of respect for the animals as individuals. Then I'd like to read from Martin Luther King Jr. One day, the absurdity of the almost universal human belief in the slavery of other animals will be palpable. We shall then have discovered our souls and become worthier of sharing this planet with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Natalie Mannering?
Yes.
Some kind of an alien ship out there.
Where's that?
What is that noise?
That's a TV out in the hallway.
Too loud.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I know you all have a lot on your plates tonight, but I just wanted to ask you to please have a heart and pass the ban on wild animal shows. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Thompson. Kevin Thompson.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
No, just make a statement. You have
Okay, if
3
I
minutes.
ask questions and they're not answered, that's okay too.
You have
I
3 minutes.
have a couple of...
Would you announce who you are and where you live?
My name is Kevin Thompson. I live in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I have a couple of questions, and then I just kind of have a few things. My first question is there any incident where this emergency ordinance needed to be passed? Is there documented incidents where this special ordinance needed to be passed? My next question would be in regards to, actually 3 questions, I'm sorry, and then more. My next question would be in regards to the ordinance itself. For those of us who are asking for people to sign the petition to have it pulled back, is it legal for someone to intentionally mislead and sign this? Is it legal for them to say, yes, they live in Eureka Springs, not living in, or yes, they're registered, and doing that? I'm not saying people are, I'm just asking if it is. And my next question is, while I've got this petition here, is there anyone in this room that would like to sign for me to repeal this ordinance and allow us to vote on it in Eureka Springs, allow the people to vote on it instead of just dictating what the laws and the rules are going to be, as Eureka Springs being such a liberal community and really not wanting to be controlled by government, it surprises me that the government of Eureka Springs would dictate what's law instead of allowing the people to vote on it. So I'm just wondering if any of you folks would be willing, because I have it now. And honestly, I just wanted to stand before the group of people who feel the need to infringe upon other people's rights based on their beliefs. I'm just kind of curious, and there's a few other things, and you have to give me a moment here to collect myself. Feel free, if I run out of time, to let me know. That's my time. I appreciate your time. Sometimes it's better left unsaid and just stand where you stand.
Thank you. Mike Mercer.
I'm Mike Mercer. I live right outside the city of Eureka Springs. I own Ridgetop Resort, Chapel of the Angels. I also pastor Beaver Lake Baptist Church. I'd like to say that I believe that everyone, whoever they are, should have a vote. Now, I realize that outside of Eureka Springs, I don't have that vote. But the people in Eureka Springs deserve a vote. And as you have passed an ordinance that you rushed through, you did it illegally, and it will come back that you'll find that I think Tim Weaver 5 times last week, 5 times said, this is not good, you're opening yourself for a lawsuit, you're looking for trouble. And I would like to just ask that you rescind what you did and then bring it to the vote of the people. You let the citizens decide what they would like. When you look at the ordinance, what has been passed, I own a business. I do not discriminate against anyone. And I actually have, our cake maker is a homosexual. I do not discriminate. We love him. We talk to them. We visit with them. We're friends with them. I have friends that were everything you can think of. But to do what you've done, you're damaging the business aspect of Eureka Springs. You let the citizens vote. If the citizens vote to do it, then I'll go along with it. I moved here to be a part of the community. But if the citizens vote it down, then you need to say, well, this is what the citizens of Eureka Springs would like to have happen. So I appreciate if you'll bring it back to consideration tonight. Say, let's bring this to a ballot. Let the folks of Eureka Springs decide the direction of Eureka Springs. Thank you, and God bless you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Philip Wilson.
Hello, and I want to say, first of all, thank you for your service to our community. I think that you honestly want to do what you feel is right for the city. I appreciate that. I want to express some concern about one particular part of the ordinance. It's not the only one that I'm concerned about, but it's the one that I've chosen to talk to you about right now. It has to do with, since I'm a religious professional, it has to do with religion and freedom of religion. The ordinance draws a distinction between the sanctuary or chapel of a church and some unmentioned part of the church. That is, a sanctuary or a chapel is exempt. But what about the gymnasium of a church? Is a church gymnasium exempt? Could a Hindu ask to be married in a Assembly of God church? And if the Assembly of God church said no, would they be subject to this ordinance? It appears that they would. I have grievous concerns about that. I don't believe that's constitutional. I don't believe it's good for the church that raised their own money, built their own church, and then the mayor gets to decide whether or not discrimination has occurred on how they operate a service in their own facility that they have built. I would encourage you all to consider that there is no legal or good reason to separate, differentiate between the sanctuary and chapel of a church and the gymnasium and the fellowship hall of the church. Those two should be handled the same and not separated. Do you have the right to make that distinction on the church? I don't think so. Where are all of you that believe in separation of church and state? Don't you want to affirm that the state should not get into the church's business? Thank you for letting me come and express this particular concern to you today.
Thank you. Brian Manire.
What's he talking about? The printout that I gave to Butch has tons of fear-mongering.
My name is Brian Manier. I live at 22 Bridge Street, Eureka Springs. I am the current president of the EUREKA Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at 17 Elk Street, and our congregation yesterday created this statement. The EUREKA Unitarian Universalist Fellowship congregation expresses our appreciation to the Eureka Springs City Council and the mayor for supporting the right and opportunity of all persons to be free from discrimination based on real or perceived race, ethnicity, national origin, age, gender, gender identity, gender expression, familial status, marital status, socioeconomic background, religion, sexual orientation, disability, and veteran status. As members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, we regard the City Council's action to be in accord with our purposes and principles and applaud its members for codifying equal protection into municipal law. We call on other faith-based groups, civic organizations, and business groups to stand behind our elected officials and support this important step in protecting equal rights. I happen to be one of those who has been discriminated in Northwest Arkansas. I was forced to resign a job with the Springdale schools some years ago, but I have experienced firsthand discrimination, so again, I applaud your efforts.
Thank you, Brian. DJ Hope. DJ Hope Gay. Or Gary? Or Gay? Come on.
Hello. My husband is John Gay, and we're together.
Come on in and speak.
Yes.
Right here.
We just came
Here,
because...
please introduce yourself and where you live.
Yes,
Please.
I'm DJ Holt Gay, and I've been in Eureka Springs for 33 years. In January, I started my 33 years, and I have a place called Redbud Valley Resort. And I wanted to come by this evening just to say that I love Eureka Springs. I love it because it is diverse. I love it because it is friendly. And I love it because there is so much love here. We love the population that we have here. We love it because we have the gays. We love it because we have the people that are Christian. And we love it because there's people that may not believe at all. I myself, I'm Christian, but I have friends that they're in all walks of life. What you've done last week, yes, that's protecting a certain walk of people. And in one way, that might be healthy for them, but in another way, you're walking on the rights of other people. We can't walk on the rights of those other people. You can't walk on the rights of one group of people to protect another. We're doing okay. We've always loved each other. That's what this town is about. Now, I've talked to a few people that are gay that have businesses here. They're so upset. You're hurting their business is what they say. Said, don't they realize this hurts our business, what's going on here? Because this year we're looking forward to a good year finally. The numbers are going up. We're expecting good business. My business we're excited. This year it looks like our numbers are going to go up. And you know what? This whole thing is going to hurt us again this year. Our numbers are going to go down. Once the publication starts, once the news starts, it's going to go down. Again? Again? Are we doing this again to ourselves? Why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? We're not walking on each other's rights. Don't stamp on someone's right and make them do something they don't want to do. We work it out. We always have worked it out. One person shouldn't have more rights to make somebody do something they don't want to do. That person can go somewhere else if they want to buy flowers and someone doesn't want to sell them flowers. Well, the heck with them. Go somewhere else. Don't give them your business. We don't do business that way. And I'm through. I'm not going to say much more, but 33 years I've seen it.
I've been here 17 years. I'm John Gay, and I echo everything that my wife said, and also a lot of what other people have commented I would have said, so I won't reiterate everything that they've said. But I will tell you that I'm not a bigot. I'm not a hater. And I really get tired of, if you have a disagreement, being called names like that. And that frustrates me. This is a divisive issue. This is an easygoing town. People get along, have gotten along, and all you're doing is creating a divisive issue that's unnecessary. Really. It's not a necessary thing to do. Don't do it. And if you are going to do it, then I agree. Let people in the city vote. And whatever happens after that happens.
And we'll go along with it.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Thank you. Melissa Green.
Hi, Melissa Green, 17 Bridge Street. The triumph of evil is for the good men to do nothing. 2 weeks ago, good men did things here. They passed Ordinance 223, and they passed putting the circus back on the agenda. Those were good men. I wouldn't be standing here if Mr. Hester and Mr. Ballinger didn't pass two very, very scary laws for me. And most of you people here know me, so you know my orientation. But the people in the hall don't. I can be mistaken. And without these laws in place, each and every one of you at this table could be a victim of discrimination. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But you passed 223 for my safety, for my welfare, and for my health. And you did it for those reasons. And I applaud you. Is it flawed? Yes, it probably needs some work. But again, I'm going to say I wouldn't be standing here if those two laws weren't put into our Senate and our House. And they're very, very scary because What are we going to start doing? Are we going to start wearing patches? Is mine going to be SBB for senile, big, and beautiful? David, I don't know where we're going to put a patch on you. Mickey, you could probably do the same one as me. Joyce, maybe you. Butch, I'm not sure about you yet.
He is.
But, how are we going to tell everybody apart? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're a PH for perfect hair.
All right, that's the end of the public comments, and I want to thank the public for coming in and speaking tonight. Unfinished business, we have update on repair of the parking lot by the auditorium. Can I have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Just briefly, last week in reviewing the minutes, I noticed that I had said that we were going to be paying for some of the material. Actually, the county is going to be paying for the material and labor. What we will be paying for is supervision, doing some engineering work, reviewing the shop drawings of the engineering work that's going to be done, and then also some observation and supervision while the work's being done. The county's going to be taking the responsibility of the labor materials. So I thought that was good news for us in that respect. So anyway, that's kind of the update. Yes, sir.
Any idea, Mr. Mayor, of the time frame?
Well,
when we hope to get started,
they were
and how long
hoping to get started last week.
So they're ready to go.
They were ready to get started last week.
So we're breaking the weather, then we're ready.
After we get through with the weather, and then we're looking at maybe up to 30 days. Maybe a little longer, but it just depends on the weather again. But as soon as we get and from what the forecast this week looks like is going to be pretty bad. But hopefully next week we're going to start getting some nice weather again. Get some 50 and 60 degree weather without any rain.
I heard something to the effect too that the tube will be poured in place, I guess.
It'll either be poured in place, it'll be cast in place, or cast on site and then and worked on. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not going to be using precast.
Okay.
And that's because the county is used to pouring their own their own boxes and culverts. So they're comfortable with what they're doing.
So creating it is not a problem. Building the forms and such as they need is within their bailiwick. That's all I was curious about.
Just a question. I think the arrangement, the financial is excellent. I think you did a remarkable job to talk to the county and get that done. It's appreciated because that took some art to do that, and it's appreciated very much.
Well, thank you.
Now, with the only question, I had one question though. And not asking the price, but do we have the money in a line item, or does that come out of general fund, general maintenance? Does it need a separate? Does it come out of general? We know
the engineering fees and that will come out of the mayor's budget.
Okay.
And the supervision and observation, which has basically come out of the public works.
Thank you.
And should be a minor. So I don't.
Just one.
If it becomes something, but right now I'm not anticipating any.
Thank you.
On that. All right. Okay, same thing. Get a motion to discuss on the hospital.
So moved.
Second.
Really not much there. I did got an email from Chris Bartello. He basically said they're still working with the architect and engineers or contractors, and I just talked to the contractor Thursday or Friday, and they're still working on the cost estimate and trying to put it together. So they're still proceeding, but at this point, nothing's known for sure.
So they still haven't gone out to the financial markets because they don't have the cost in the first place to go out.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
But they said they're getting close. So, that's all I know at this point. And it didn't seem like they were out of range from their original estimate. So
15, 20 still? Okay.
All right. So do I have a motion for the new business on the circus animal ordinance? I think Mr. Mitchell brought that up.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Mitchell, you want to start off?
I'm actually going to let Miss, if you don't mind. Yeah, I could, but I'm
going to
let Miss. Do you want to, Miss George?
I don't care.
Who wants to go first?
Ms. Joyce.
Well, James, you're on the agenda. Do you want to take this, or you want?
I'll take it. I don't mind.
Mr. Mitchell instigated it, so I'll defer to him.
I make a motion to assign the ordinance in front of us a number and have it read on its first reading.
Now, is this the same one that we didn't pass?
Okay. All right, motion.
We never did know which one it was.
We read it and voted. I don't understand.
Hold on, guys.
Let's wait for discussion, please.
Wait a minute. We have an ordinance that I believe it says cleaned up in your files.
But what did we read last time?
We didn't read anything.
Nothing.
We didn't.
Nothing.
This is a motion to assign a number and read it.
Let's wait for a second.
McClung?
Okay, I'm just curious what, we already had the second. I'm just curious what brought all up in the first place. What, somebody scared to death that the animals are going to invade us, but somebody's going to herd them in here and run us over, or what?
Ms. Schneider?
Okay, I'm real confused here. I thought we read and voted on something and it didn't pass 2 weeks ago. I've got 3 different things, 2 that look the same, one that says changes showing.
We're going with the ordinance that says cleaned up the right-hand corner.
Okay. All right. In view of the situation, and that is the people who want to have a voice in this action, who want to be part of this action, in view of the way this has gone for the last several months in this council, in view of the confusion on the various agendas, and in view of the fact I am going to reiterate yet again, we are not experts. When you have stuff in an ordinance like this that basically is saying, we're experts, we know when these animals are in cages that this is bad and they're going to go ballistic. You're saying you're an expert. We are not experts. You cannot assume anything, especially not in an issue that's been going on for eons. I would like to make a counter motion.
We have a motion on the
Okay,
floor.
I would like to make a suggestion that what we do, since there is no rush on this thing, we put this to a vote of the people by agreeing and voting. It will go on the very next general ballot for the people to vote on. And by putting it on the very next general ballot, it will not cost us a dime. It will be free of charge. There's no rush. The people get to have their say. We go accordingly, and in the meantime, this needs to be rewritten in a proper short form, merely saying we choose to not allow this activity. No one can sue us, no one can go after us. Simpler is so much better. Saves us money every which way.
Mr. McClung?
We had the little circus come through town in the fall. It's probably close to 30 years before the last one. The chances of another circus happening inside the city limits of Eureka Springs is probably similar to the chances of no one coming through with them 2 by 2. Let's face it.
Exactly.
So I think we're just really spending time on something that's a dead point anyway.
Obviously, by now, most people know that I have had great difficulty with this ordinance. I have thought it over. I've looked at all the ramifications of it. I've looked at the concern that I have when you start looking at potentially banning a type of business. I'm a firm believer in free enterprise. I do understand that cities can limit certain things for certain reasons. I do understand that. This has been a very difficult issue for me. And the reason at the last meeting that I brought it back is because I made a slight error and thought my present vote would be that because I was confused about which ordinance was there because there was a discussion between an alderman and the clerk, and I didn't know which one we were going to be reading, and it was confusing to me, and I didn't want to find that we had assigned a number to the wrong ordinance. So that really bothered me, and I was concerned about it. Likewise, I also thought at the time, and I forgot, that you have to have 4 votes to pass something, so I realized I had made a mistake because I thought it was going to pass anyway. I believe we should have the first reading on it. I believe we should go ahead and have the first reading on this. I think that gives the people at least another 4 weeks before we could even get to the third reading. And at the same time, I appreciate Alderman Schneider's concern about input from the people. I don't think this council takes the issue of input from the citizens here lightly. I don't think this council purposely goes about and dictates or legislates or anything without great thought and care, and why we sit at this table to represent the citizens and do what we do. I think the citizens, though, but what I have at this point I have a problem with is that I really truthfully am not 100% sure where the citizens are on this. I know I've heard for, but at the same time I've also kind of heard against. So I do understand what Mrs. Schneider's saying, but what I would challenge the citizens of this town to do is take this opportunity from the first reading to before we get to the second one to notify the people on the council by writing or whatever and give us your feelings. We'll find out if Ms. Schneider is correct, or we'll find out who believes in the ordinance and wants it passed. But we have time to do it. It's not being rushed through, and there's nothing wrong with having the first reading tonight.
Joyce?
We have a motion on the floor to give this ordinance a number and put it through its first reading, which is, we're not doing anything to it except that, so I want to call for the question and have a vote on that motion.
Second.
Sorry. Okay, got a motion and to call the question. All those in favor, signify. You do by voice or roll call?
It should be roll call.
Okay. Roll call vote to call the question.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Ms. Schneider? Considering the way it's written and that wipes out the passion play efforts, no.
Ms. Eller? Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
5-1.
All right. Motion passes to call the question. The question is...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, okay. Never mind.
Doesn't matter. It passed 5-1. To sign this ordinance and number and to read it on its first reading. So all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Is that 4-2?
It is.
Okay.
Talk to the passion play people. You just wiped out a major business if you pass that.
On the city limit.
All right. We have
Yeah,
a
they pay
motion
taxes.
passed, so if we can assign a number to it.
The ordinance number will be 2224. An ordinance amending Title VI of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code